Hi everybody, Malice here again with another video, and this time, continuing our review of the Imperial Knights Codex, we're moving on to the second detachment within the book, the Warden lands. So, as per usual, I'll start off with the detachment rule, then into the enhancements, and finally finishing off with the stratagems. So, let's get to it. The detachment rule for the Warden lands is the Dauntless Defenders. At the start of the first battleground, select 2 objective markers on the battlefield to be your foundations. When you draw a line from any part of one of your foundations to the other, if any part of a model's base or any part of a model's hull for a model without a base crosses that line, that model's unit is said to be on your defensive line, whilst an Imperial Knights unit from your army is on your defensive line, that unit has the following ability. Against the Horde, each time a model in this unit makes an attack that targets a visible enemy unit, you could ignore any or all modifiers to the hit roll, and weapons equipped by this models models in this unit have the sustained hit 1 ability. Each time one of your foundations is removed from the battlefield, for example by a primary mission rule, just after it is removed, select a new objective marker on the battlefield to use as one of your foundations. So basically you can just draw a line and go, this line stops here, you shall not cross. If you do attempt to cross, we get to hit you guaranteed with our ballistic skill, and we get sustained hits into the mix, so we can get extra hits. It's not a bad detachment rule, and I've got to say it's solid. Definitely favours a more defensive approach, Knight Army, I think, rather than a more aggressive. So if you're using this detachment, I think mid to longer range will be the name of the game for you, but it's not a bad rule, we quite like it. Now into the enhancements for the Warden lands. Starting off with the Acquisitor at Arms. Imperial Knights model only, whilst the bearer is on your defensive line and there are no enemy units on your defensive line, add the bearer's objective control characteristic to that of each model affected by the bearer's bondsman ability. So again, playing into the whole defensive line aspect of the detachment rule. And armigers. So I think the Helverins sound like they will be the best option with this detachment. They're the armigers with their double auto cannon set up. It sounds like you want to be bringing them rather than the other ones, because like I said, this detachment seems to be sit back and let your opponent come to you under your unrelenting horde of firepower, and if they happen to break your defensive line, then they get to face even more with that firepower. The next enhancement is Percutation's Hand. Imperial Knights model only. Each time the bearer makes a melee attack, if the bearer is on your defensive line, reroll a hit roll of 1 and reroll a wound roll of 1. So again, tying into the whole defensive line thing, if things get there and you have to do the up close and personal stuff, if you've got Percutation's Hand, you can reroll your 1s to hit and wound. Nothing wrong with that, perfectly solid. We do like a good reroll. The third of the 4 enhancements is the Augury Halo. Imperial Knights model only. Each time the bearer makes a ranged attack whilst the bearer is on your defensive line. Have we spotted the theme here? Weapons equipped by the bearer have the ignores cover ability. Now this, on the right knight, could get particularly messy depending on what they decide to shoot at. I'm thinking big blob units staring down the barrel of the Night Warden's Avenger Gatling Cannon, for one example. Again, tying into the whole army rule thing, this detachment seems a very, very defensive based one. You're almost castling, you're daring your opponent to come to you because you don't want to break that defensive line regardless of whatever you do because of the bonuses it gives you and the fact that all your enhancements within this detachment thus far have tied in to the whole defensive line thing. But speaking of that, let's go into the last enhancement for this detachment, and that is Vengeful Tread. Imperial Knight models only. Once per turn, you can target the bear with the tank shot stratagem for 0 CP. To be honest, for me, this is by far the weakest of the 4 enhancements. It's like, why would I do that when I can take Percutation's Hand and reroll my ones to hit and wound? Or the Augury Halo with range, where if I'm on my defensive line, I can just go, I don't care about your cover. Or with the Acquisitor of Arms and help your bondsman. Help your bondsman out. I think Vengeful Tread is very much the weakest enhancement of the bunch within this detachment. And finally, let's move into stratagems even. Now, as usual, unless I say otherwise, these cost 1 command point apiece. So, we'll start with Drive Them Out. Use it in your shooting phase or the fight phase on an Imperial Knights model unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase. The effect is, until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets an enemy unit on your defensive line, an unmodified hit roll of 5 scores a critical hit. So again, tying into the whole bonuses with the defensive line thing. Solid stratagem gives you a 1 in 3 chance of landing a critical hit as opposed to a 1 in 6. So yeah, solid. Can't say much more about that. Lancebreaker. Use it in your fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its target. And you use it on an Imperial Knights unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks and is on your defensive line. There's very much a defensive line theme with everything in this. The effect is, until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit, if the strength characteristic of the attack is greater than the toughness characteristic of your unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. Now, it's nice. You can't deny having a little bit extra protection. It's solid, if not unspectacular, is the best way to describe it. Next up, Steadfast Superiority. Use it in the fight phase on an Imperial Knights unit from your army that is within engagement range of one or more enemy units that is on your defensive line and that has not already been selected to fight this phase. And the effect is, until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, you can reroll the hit roll. So, a slightly tweaked version of Percutation's Hand, except it's the entire hit roll and not just the hit roll of a 1. I suppose it's nice if you want to use another relic enhancement even. Showing a bit of my 40k age there, calling them relics, but never mind. Again, solid, not particularly flashy, but yeah, it's solid enough. Marshal the Defence is the next one. Use it in your movement phase on up to 2 Imperial Knight units from your army that have not been selected to move this phase. Until the end of the phase, add 3 inches to the move characteristic of models in your unit. Get your unit into place to do what you want them to do faster. Again, very solid, nice utility piece. We like it. There's been a theme with all these stratagems so far. They've been solid. There's utility and uses for all of them. None of them are seemingly overly specialised. Next up we have Titanic Bombardment. Use it in your shooting phase on an Imperial Knight Titanic unit from your army that remains stationary this turn. That is on your defensive line and has not been selected to shoot this phase. And then the effect is, until the end of the phase, range models equipped by models in your unit have the sustained hits 2 ability. So you can get more extra hits. The Knight Castellan, for example, will love this stratagem. It's the Castellan and the Dominus, which are the Titanic Knights. They're the only ones that can use it. But the fact it affects range weapons, and the Castellan is pretty much the gun platform of the two, pretty much makes it the key target for this stratagem. And finally, we have the Fortress of Intimidation. Use it at the start of your opponent's charge phase on an Imperial Knights Titanic unit from your army that is on your defensive line. Again, back to the defensive line. And the effect is, until the end of the phase, each time an enemy unit selects your unit as a charge of an attack, that unit must take a battle shock test, subtracting 1 from the result. This one, I think, is by far the weakest of the 6 stratagems in this detachment. All the others have a bit of utility about them. They're not over... I mean, yes, Titanic Bombardment is a bit niche in the fact that there's only 2 knights you can use it on, and there's only really one that would get any real benefit from it. But I'd definitely say a Fortress of Intimidation is the weakest of the stratagems for this detachment. And that brings it to a close. So, what do I think overall? This is a very defensive detachment for Imperial Knights. Like I've said multiple times throughout the video. This one rewards you. This detachment wants you to be sitting on your defensive line, bringing knights in your army that have plenty of medium to long range firepower, and just basically goading your opponent to come to you, and then just demolishing them under a hail of firepower. But yeah, it's a solid detachment. It's not my favourite one in the book so far. I mean, the Valor Striker Lance is my pick of the 2 we've looked at the moment, but we have another 2 to cover, and indeed we shall get onto those very shortly. And that wraps up this video. So what do you guys think of this detachment? As always, let me know in the comments, and until the next one, I shall catch you guys later. Bye.